So I was trying to think, where do I begin with this? Because I'm quite cheesed off with the family, with society, and the government. Now, apologies for anyone who is going through any GBV related issues right now because I want to address this and I want to address where this also begins. And I wanted to first speak on my podcast, but then I thought it would be better if you just see my face so that you can see the seriousness of this. Now I'm going to try and make it lighthearted and then I'm going to be serious about it. It's going to like interchange in between the two energies. Okay. So, first and foremost, we have a society that wants to support structures that they created. It's like healing where you were stabbed. How do you heal where the intention was to harm? Do you get what I mean? We grow up in families that accept violence. We accept it. And then we say, oh no, but we're family. And then we grow up in a society. And then we say, oh, it's because I love you. So we trained that chaos is love and harm and toxicity is love. And that peace, you should be very, very wary of it. Imagine, imagine, that's the society that we live in. Why? Because it also starts in the families. When parents are parenting, but they are wounded. So what happens is all they do is regurgitate their pain from a childhood perspective, from their childhood perspective. Now that their parents are there to bully them, they begin to become the bullies. Yeah. If you're a parent and you haven't healed, you are a bully. Plain down and simple. For you to not allow a child to be seen, to be heard, and to be acknowledged, to shut them up, to suppress them when they're frustrated, when they're sad, to dismiss them, you are a bully. When you don't want to hear them, when you don't want to pay attention, when you threaten to abandon them, when you do abandon them, you are a bully. So, as a society, we need to heal. We need to heal the mind. We need to heal the heart. We need to acknowledge the pain that has been running through our bloodlines, our ancestral lineages, that we ignore and suppress and smile about and go, oh, but I love you. And because we are family, but that is not love. I wrote in a post yesterday, someone who doesn't like themselves can only give you conditional love because it's in a condition that you make them feel good. Unconditional love is loving someone through their conditions and not yours. Do you hear what I mean? Someone who doesn't like themselves can only give you conditional love. Someone who likes themselves can give you unconditional love. And unconditional love sometimes will mean that they cannot love you from close. They're going to have to love you from afar. Do you understand? Love is not possession over and control over someone's sense of autonomy and sense of being. You are bullying someone because of your lack of self-control. Imagine a society that could be trained about self-control versus reaction. Teach a society, teach the kids from young how to respond versus to react. But all we have are parents who are still kids. They're just trapped in adult jumpsuits. And as soon as a child doesn't do what they want, they bully them and then they harm them. So it's going to be sensitive for some people, and some people are going to probably come at me, and it's fine. But I know how to back this one up. What you are teaching your child when you want to discipline them, and you say, I remember actually some guy I was like interested in once, and he was like, I was trying to get to understand his like mind, and we're talking about kids, and then he goes, spoil the child, spare the rod, spoil the child. I was like, goodbye, because you must understand psychologically, why are you disciplining them through physical hitting and physical action? Why are you doing that? Because what you are doing to a child by disciplining them through beating them up is that because you love them and you're trying to correct them, they can't have a voice. They don't need to have a voice. What you have done is said, you are not pleasing me, so it is okay for me to physically harm you and verbally harm you. Do you understand? So then you get a whole group of people, women and men, who then form into relationships that they get into these abusive relationships because they were told they were being corrected, because they were told that they are being loved, and I love you, I'm sorry, and we are family. We need to stop this, because if we continue with this sort of mentality, we are, well, ultimately, we are causing our own self-destruction. But imagine a people who can be empowered. Imagine a world that can be empowered. Would the government really want that? Or is it better to be in control? Is it better to control you? Because then I get to account for your hours. I get to feel good when you feel bad. I get to have you at my mercy, begging me for mercy, because I control your wages. I control your sense of survival. I control your sense of belonging to a society that doesn't even belong to themselves. The thing is, everybody who is unhealed, or the unhealed human being, is looking for someone to fulfill them, is looking for someone to feel whole. And what happens is you are trained from young to betray yourself. Even if kids just know because they are so tapped in, but they are conditioned to tap out. We are conditioned to tap out. So then it looks crazy when you start speaking these things and you start going on the healing journey, that this is what happened to me. Because we all remember. Don't think just because your child is obeying you and whatever like that, that they don't remember. Because the thing is, the moment they get stronger, the moment they can have the power, you don't want to be there. So then you beat your child up and they inflict the same harm on somebody else, right? Because they weren't taught to have self-control. We are just living in a society that cannot have self-control. It's insane. Like, do you understand? Like, it's quite insane. The fact that you aren't taught to have self-control, and that it is okay, you're taught from young that it is okay for you to lose control. Because here's the thing, you were taught that self-control, a lack of self-control from the bullying from your parent is, or your caretaker, or your sibling, your older sibling, is love, and is a form of protection, and is a form of love for you, right? I don't know what I'm really saying fully, but I know what I'm saying. And it's just, I'm just allowing so that it's not like perfectly curated here. But you have someone who doesn't have a sense of control. All they do is react. They are not taught how to respond. Then when they get older, they attract that which they can do the exact same thing to. Or they can attract someone who can do the exact same thing they grew up with. Do you understand? There's this book, and if anybody can get it, Women Who Love Too Much. And it's an aspect of talking about the fact that you love toxicity. What happens is that what happened in the home, you are going to replicate it because now that you're older, you have more control. But the thing is, you don't, because that's not what you were taught up until you go do the healing and you find somebody who can help you develop self-control skills. Because if we are just living in a society that allows for reaction and doesn't deal with response, I don't know. I don't know. This is a call to every one of you to start rethinking how you are reacting when you are upset. Go speak to God. Go speak to your higher source. Go feel that energy at the gym. Go dance it out. Go move out that energy, but do not touch another human being. Do not physically harm or physically abuse another human being. Okay? Another thing, in that aspect, we have men who, and it's so funny to me, it's so strange to me. And up until you realize how sick it is, you observing the sickness, and you're like, oh, this is love, this is so much fun because I get to understand this aspect of chaos. This is so exciting. You start attracting a love that is chaotic because you think it's exciting, because you think that you don't know what's going to happen, right? That's how you grew up. Your nervous system is, because you're so anxious. You never knew how your parent was going to react. You never knew how your older sibling was going to react. How are they going to respond in that moment of tension, in that moment of anxiety, in that moment where they started to lose control because they don't have self-control of their sexual energy, of their verbal energy. Well, your sexual energy and your life force extends to every other force anyways, right? Then we go back to the men. What is going on here? It's giving me bugs out. Then we go to men, which I find so fascinating. And I didn't know this up until I knew this. You have men who, and it's so funny because they have daughters. And these are the men who are deeply hurt, right? Not to say that nobody else is hurt, but these are men who are also very angry at their mothers. And usually these men grew up with single moms. And even if there was a dad in the home, the mom was the boss. And the mom related to her son like a lover. The stuff gets very twisted and is quite thick. But they treat their son like the husband they never had, or the partner they never had. And so the son experiences this lover parent relationship and very often cannot distinguish between the two too clearly, because then what happens is usually they have daughters. And it's so interesting because they go out, they can't have stable relationships, and they can't commit because they do not believe in that, because they are hurt. Then they find women who want to nurse them, resurrect them, make them find hope again. I was one of those, so I'm speaking from experience. And they have these daughters that they want to protect from the very same man that they are. Like, psychologically as people, sometimes when you sit in silence and you allow for meditation, you see so much. You see so much that this paparapapsing about all the time You can't see when you're with family and you're hearing them speak because, oh my God, my older siblings, oh my God, my parents, they're so cool. And you dismiss what you felt was wrong. Completely dismiss yourself. You completely you completely get trained to mistrust your feelings. And then you grow up in confusion. The one person says one thing, but they're doing another because they say they love you. If you're looking for assistance in your group of learning how to develop self control, that's kind of what I teach, helping you really calibrate your nervous system and rewire your brain, recalibrate your nervous system back into safety so that you understand what peace and joy really is, and then rewiring your brain for peace and joy so that you're expectant of good in your life. Then you can say, God is good when God is good all the time. No, wait. God is good. God is good all the time. Okay, now I've forgotten that that saying. But if there's a group who want to learn self-control, do you know how attractive self-control is? Woo! When someone can know their capacity, but they choose differently. You must understand the power there. A person who has self-control, has respect, has order, has alchemy. Ooh, yes, please. Yes, it is the most attractive thing to have self-control. So in Zulu we say zitande, which means love yourself. Love yourself. And remember, I'm doing the work of my healing work that I do is about helping you remember who you are. Because the world will try to tell you who you are not. And you must understand, you were chosen. You were chosen to come here. You went to sin. I'm sorry to those who believe that they are and have been conditioned to believe that they are. But how can you be wrong? How can you be wrong from coming from source? Or did you come from the devil? Is that what you were told? Because you came from love and you were brought into a space of fear. And then you forgot. You forgot who you are because you were not nurtured in that aspect. But that's the trick of life. You came here to realize who you are through who you are not. And this is very specific for certain people, not everyone. Because in a healed family unit, you would be nurtured in love. In an unhealed family unit, you will be nurtured in fear. Okay, so let's change. Let's build self-control. Let's build a society that learns how to respond because you know how to turn your pain and alchemize your pain into the most beautiful thing. But if we continue to breed a society that only knows how to react, that society is going to cause its own self-destruction very quickly. And it's already doing that. So it's your choice at the end of the day. Are you going to choose love, unconditional love, not trying to possess someone, but allowing them to give them space, even if it means that you have to love them from afar? That's self-control. Do you know how painful it is to love someone, but you can't be with them? Yo, yo. But because you love them, you know that you are better off apart than together. Maybe not forever, but definitely for now. Some of you need to learn to love from afar and send them love instead of trying to control them, because that moment you're trying to control them, you're trying to control the love you never had from your parents. Let's build a better society. We need to. And we deserve to live a good life. You deserve to live a good life. I deserve to live a good life. The generations to come deserve to live a good life. So just because you were regurgitated, just because you were beat up as a child, doesn't make it right. Think about it. Teach your child self-control. But you have to develop self-control first. Just imagine a family that knows how to have self-control, that extends to society, that extends into the government. Because this government is going to change. It's not going to be the same. This form of like dictatorship and control, it's not going to last forever. It definitely won't. Time's coming to an end. And yeah, I am so here for it. Sending so much love.